Well, guys, we are officially in 2024, and I just want to wish all of you guys a happy new year. Hope you guys all had a good holiday season, and thank you so much for all of the support that you guys gave on all my videos last year. We were able to reach the goal that I had set of reaching 60,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. I don't know if I have an exact number that I want to try to reach this year, but I am hoping to do even better this year, and this seems like it could be a very exciting year for Nintendo, and that is what I'm going to be talking to you guys about inside of this video. And pretty much for every Nintendo fan, the most anticipated thing for 2024 is finally getting the next generation Nintendo system, or the Nintendo Switch 2, as right after entering 2024, Switch 2 has still been trending on Twitter. And if you thought last year people were making too many videos and there was lots of rumors about the Switch 2, I hate to break it to you, but I feel like we're only going to get crazier rumors as we're getting even closer to this, because it definitely seems like everything is lining up, and it seems like right now Nintendo has the perfect time to release a Nintendo Switch 2 this year. And that's what I'm really going to be talking about in this video, because I feel like it is definitely time now. It makes a lot of sense, and we are definitely overdue now for some type of new Nintendo hardware. So when we get to March 3rd, 2024, in just a few months, the Nintendo Switch is going to turn officially 7 years old since its introduction on March 3rd, 2017. And that is just absolutely crazy, and it's because of that and how we still have no official information from Nintendo about a successor or the next gen system or anything like that, which I feel like makes the perfect sense for why they're probably going to release it this year and have some type of announcement very soon, as I just can't see them going this entire year also with the same exact Nintendo Switch and not having any type of announcement and just complete radio silence about what's coming next, because it just doesn't make sense. It was already really difficult to do that last year in 2023, so I feel like this year it just makes perfect sense to have something new. And while the Nintendo Switch is going to be turning 7 years old, most people don't even know that the main chip that is inside of every Nintendo Switch right now is the Tegra X1 chip, which is actually even older than the Nintendo Switch itself, as this chip was actually introduced in 2015 to be used inside of some Nvidia tablets and other devices, and then Nintendo came along and they had this agreement to put this chip inside of the Nintendo Switch as well, and it's slightly modified, but it is the exact same Tegra X1 chip. So using that in mind, you're basically running like 9-year-old tech right now on your Nintendo Switch, and it is getting very outdated now to see that type of tech that is still inside of this Nintendo Switch, as when it came out in 2017, of course, it was still pretty recent at that time. It was only 2 years old. It was still outdated, but 2 years old is definitely not that bad, and it was because of that that you were still able to see a lot of impressive ports from third parties that ran really well, like seeing Doom 2016 or LA Noire and a lot of these other third-party games that were still able to run pretty well on the Nintendo Switch. But if we compare that now to the quality of third-party games that are releasing on the Nintendo Switch in more recent years, the age of the system is definitely starting to show, as these games are not running as well as they used to, the performance isn't as good, the resolution doesn't look as good, and it's because of that that these games are just not really as much fun to play on the Nintendo Switch. If we compare a game like Sonic Frontiers on the Xbox to the Nintendo Switch, you can definitely take a look at the ground and see how much less detail there is on the ground textures. You can see in the background how some of the things aren't even popping in or loading in, and even the backgrounds don't look as crispy as how you can see them on the Xbox, and a lot of third-party games are like this now. And the thing about this is that some people can say, well, that is the fault of those third-party developers, that they're not optimizing their games well enough, and it's because of that that they're not taking the effort to actually make them run better and look better on the Nintendo Switch, and that is definitely true to an extent. Like, there's definitely some things that probably could be better. Like, I know the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 game came out, and for some reason on the Nintendo Switch, if you try to load into a battle, like just loading into a normal 2-player battle, it takes like 45 seconds or something. It takes like a really long time, which it should definitely not for the type of game that it is. So things like that can definitely be blamed to the actual optimization by the developers, but it also starts being kind of less important when you start realizing that even Nintendo's own big games that they're talking about, like their big exclusives, are starting to suffer from the Nintendo Switch's power. A game like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is supposed to be like this really beautiful fantasy RPG adventure that you can go on with a whole bunch of party members, and it's a lot of fun to play through, but did you know that that game doesn't even run natively in HD? They actually run that game at 540p in docked mode, and then have to use a special AI upscaling algorithm to make it look crispy, and it still looks like the best Xenoblade game out of all of the other Xenoblade games that are on the Switch, but the fact that its resolution is so low natively, and they have to do all of this other like trickery to make it look decent on the Switch really gives you an idea of how lacking the power is to actually make these types of games run natively, even in just 720p or 1080p, and that's definitely pretty concerning for a game in 2022. Bayonetta 3 is supposed to be a really fast and fluid action game for the Nintendo Switch, and they're trying to target 60 FPS with that game, but the game barely is able to actually reach that, and it doesn't even reach like a stable 60 FPS, where a lot of people say that it's usually running at like 45 FPS or 40 FPS. It's a little above 30, but still less than 60, and that's definitely not the type of experience that the developers are trying to go for. So it's really for having things like that, where it would be so much better to have an action game like this running at a fluid, buttery 60 FPS, and it's things like this that you can definitely see the Nintendo Switch starting to show its age. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was one of Nintendo's biggest games last year, and that game was developed by Nintendo's own in-house studio, and it still has issues that you can encounter in terms of its performance, where if you go to like an area where there's a lot of trees or just stuff going on in the background or whatever, and then try using the Ultra Hand ability or fusing things and try connecting things together, you're gonna see it starts getting stuttery and slowing down, and that can definitely ruin the experience for a lot of people who are just trying to use those abilities and play the game. There's some developers like Capcom with Resident Evil or Square Enix with Kingdom Hearts where they refuse to even try to put their games on a cartridge for the Nintendo Switch and instead opt for a cloud version, which is a very inferior version to play these games, where instead you basically have to be connected always online and you're streaming these games from a server to your Nintendo Switch while not actually using the power of the Switch, but instead using the power of your internet to be able to play these games. And it's because of that that you can't even use the actual capability of the Switch to being able to take it where you want to go, because you have to be connected online. So it's things like that where it's not even worth really getting these games now for the Nintendo Switch. And the thing about third parties is that there's actually a lot of Nintendo fans who are willing to play popular third-party games if they actually were available on the Nintendo Switch as well, as Nier Automata, which recently came to the Nintendo Switch a few years ago, is actually one of the best-selling games for the Nintendo Switch when it did come out. It did really well, and it's actually a pretty good port of that game on the Nintendo Switch, but it goes to show that there is a lot of interest for these types of games. And how cool would it be if you were able to play these big games that are coming out like Elden Ring, and you were able to play something like the Resident Evil 4 remake if they were actually able to come to Nintendo systems as well? Because it's not like these companies are anti-Nintendo. It's not like they don't want to put their games on a Nintendo system. It's just because the power of the Switch right now is so limited, they don't want to take the effort to even try to put their games on a system like this, but they're definitely all about having it available on multiple platforms. They're all available on Xbox and PlayStation and PC and all of that, so it would just be really nice if you could actually play these types of games on a Nintendo system as well. And of course, while the current Nintendo Switch is still selling really well, that is definitely a fact. It's also a fact though that the Nintendo Switch is starting to slow down in terms of its sales too, because the sales numbers are no longer comparing to what the Nintendo Switch was getting back in its early years, as that was really when we were at the peak of the Nintendo Switch hype, as everybody was really excited about getting these types of games like Super Mario Odyssey and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and a whole new generation of Pokemon and the first ever Fire Emblem game back to a home console and things like that, where now, I mean, it feels like pretty much anybody who wanted a Nintendo Switch has gotten one at some point within the last 7 years. And of course, there's still people that are buying new Nintendo Switches and getting them for the first time as well, but a majority of people, like there's over 100 million Nintendo Switches that are out there. Pretty much anybody who was interested in a Nintendo Switch at this point already has one. And the PlayStation 5, now being a more recent system, is finally starting to pick up some traction now, as it is getting more exclusives like Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2, and these types of games now are starting to get more people excited for getting a PS5, and more people are looking to getting these types of systems, and it definitely seems like now Nintendo would have the perfect opportunity to release a brand new Nintendo system, get people excited about Nintendo systems again, and get people buying more Nintendo systems, as of course, if they reveal the Nintendo Switch 2 and then it comes out, everybody, a lot of big people are of course going to be getting that system as soon as they can, and it would definitely create a big spike again in terms of Nintendo hype, as right now with the Switch, we're not really in that kind of era anymore where we were getting so excited for every single crazy thing that was happening with that system, as the system has basically kind of gone through its entire period already, and we're entering its 7th year. And so Nintendo finally releasing a brand new next generation system this year that can finally do better performance in terms of its resolutions and frame rates, and actually have third-party games looking better, entering a whole new era of Nintendo games now, like the next 3D Mario game and everything looking really beautiful on this next system. It is definitely going to create so much excitement, and everybody is going to be so excited now for Nintendo again, especially after everything kind of seems to be winding down now with the Nintendo Switch. And so I'm still on the camp that at the absolute bare minimum, we're gonna hear something officially from Nintendo themselves about their next generation system this year. I do think that it also is going to release this year as well, as I feel like having a brand new Nintendo system right around like November for the holidays this year would make the most sense. But maybe if they really want to try to still kind of go through this entire year, maybe they will with the Nintendo Switch, but we'll still hear that they are working on their next system and that it's officially going to come out maybe early 2025, or it's going to be something like that's going to come out in the summer of next year or something. But I feel like this year they're not just going to go radio silence without mentioning anything about their next gen system. I still think that we're probably going to get the reveal in the coming months, maybe have like a big summer blowout event in like July, and then we're probably going to get the release of the system in October, November for the holidays. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. A lot of the big credible rumors are saying that we're going to hear something around March or April, so that would make a lot of sense to me, and I feel like we are going to see something. So exciting times are definitely ahead, and I feel like there is going to be some pretty exciting stuff that's going to happen this year from Nintendo, and there's probably going to be a direct next month too, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Nintendo is going to go for 2024. And so yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well, as I'm going to be having more videos talking about Nintendo's next gen system as the information comes out. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. Do you guys think that this is finally going to be the year that we're going to hear about Nintendo's next generation system? Do you expect it to come out this year as well? How do you think that Nintendo is going to go about it? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.